Hello, all you freedom-loving people. President Trump aims to end cashless bail in D.C. The accused human trafficker Abrego Garcia successfully blocked his deportation until his hearing on Friday, and Elon Musk is busy with several lawsuits. Okay, let's get into it. Today, President Trump signed 2 executive orders that were aimed at eliminating cashless bail, along with another order adding specialized law enforcement units to executive agencies in Washington, D.C. The first order authorizes Attorney General Pam Bondi to identify states with cashless bail systems for suspects of violent, sexual, or indecent acts, or burglary, looting, or vandalism, and to revoke their federal funding.
Jurisdictions all over the country that have cashless bail policies, and then it withholds or revokes federal funds and grants that are flowing to those jurisdictions to ensure that we're only supporting the people who have reasonable common sense policies around crime.
So what area does it cover?
Potentially anywhere that has a cashless bail policy, so some of the largest cities, some of the most left-wing states in America.
Almost all of them, right?
Illinois would be a great example of that, sir.
Oh, they have a great cashless bail. You don't even have to go to court sometimes. No, Illinois, I love that state. It's a great state, but it's run so badly by Pritzker. They threw him out of the family business and he becomes governor. Now he wants to run for president. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, we'll sign right here, right?
Sir.
So important. And this isn't Republican, Democrat. This is, and by the way, most Democrats agree with this. But this is just, we got to bring our country back.
The second order revokes the practice of cashless bail in Washington, D.C., and it aims to hold as many defendants in federal custody as possible in order to prevent them from being released. In the meantime, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said that the results of the investigation into D.C. crime stat manipulation would possibly shock the public when released.
And the President spoke about this before. We've uncovered, in the process of uncovering, a massive scandal in Washington, D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. And the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General, is leading the effort to uncover this. But when we ultimately share the results, it will stun you. The extent to which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I mean, this is how severe the manipulation of the crime data has been in the city, and it will all be uncovered and it will all be brought to light.
President Trump also signed an executive order and directed the DOJ to punish people who burn American flags in the street with 1 year in prison.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your Attorney General.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You could do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. You can, but when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it.
Today, President Trump also hosted the president of South Korea at the White House, and later, when he was talking with reporters at the Oval Office, he announced the trade deal with South Korea.
Talking about trade, and did you reach any conclusion?
Yeah, I think we have a deal done. They had some problems with it, but we stuck to our guns. We are going to, they're going to make the deal that they agreed to make.
Today, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was previously deported to El Salvador, was arrested by federal immigration authorities again and now faces federal human smuggling charges, and he faces possible deportation to Uganda. Abrego Garcia, who is Salvadoran, surrendered to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, in Baltimore earlier this morning. And his lawyers filed a habeas corpus petition in Maryland immediately after his surrender. That filing triggered a federal court order which temporarily shielded Abrego Garcia from removal. The order barred the deportation until 4 p.m. on the second business day after filing, unless a judge extends the terms. The order offers only a short-term pause, but lawyers for Abrego Garcia want a broader injunction that would prevent ICE from transferring him abroad until the court fully considers the legality of his removal. So, how did it all begin? Abrego Garcia had already been deported in March to a prison in El Salvador, but the U.S. Supreme Court ordered his return in June. Then Abrego Garcia was indicted weeks later in Tennessee on smuggling charges that stemmed from a 2022 traffic stop. Prosecutors alleged that Abrego Garcia conspired to transport 9 illegal immigrant passengers, but lawyers for Abrego Garcia argued that he was merely pulled over for speeding and was released on a warning. Then the Justice Department pressed those charges forward, and ICE moved to arrange his deportation. But on Friday, federal judge Barbara Holmes signed an order and granted a pre-trial release to Abrego Garcia. That order required electronic monitoring, third-party custody, and compliance with any conditions that were imposed by ICE. That order also directed federal agencies to ensure that if Abrego Garcia were detained by ICE, he would still have access to his defense counsel to prepare for trial. Then the Trump administration moved to new deportation plans. Lawyers for Abrego Garcia stated in a supplemental filing on Saturday that the ICE officials had offered him a deal on the eve of his release. The deal was to plead guilty to both smuggling counts and agree to stay in custody through August 25th. And they said in return, Abrego Garcia would be deported to Costa Rica. Based on court filings, Costa Rica had formally agreed to accept Abrego Garcia as a refugee after any sentence in the United States, and it promised not to detain or return him to El Salvador. But Abrego Garcia rejected the offer. In response, ICE officials told him that he would have to report to a facility in Baltimore to face deportation. Defense attorneys argued that the shift was a retaliation against the refusal of Abrego Garcia to plead guilty. The lawyers accused the Trump administration of using collective powers to force Mr. Abrego to choose between a guilty plea followed by relative safety or rendition to Uganda, where his safety and liberty would be under threat. The Trump administration accused Abrego Garcia of domestic abuse and of belonging to MS-13, the Salvadoran gang labeled a foreign terrorist organization earlier this year. Today, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said in a statement on X, President Trump is not going to allow this illegal alien who was an MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, serial domestic abuser, and child predator to terrorize American citizens any longer. Border czar Tom Homan also told Fox News on Sunday that Abrego Garcia's deportation was inevitable.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Obviously, a fast-moving case. Abrego Garcia's lawyer says the government is, quote, weaponizing the immigration system against him. My question is, what's your response to accusations that you're weaponizing the immigration system? And will, in fact, Abrego Garcia soon be heading to Uganda?
He is absolutely going to be deported from this country. He's not going to walk the streets of this nation. So he can enjoy the little time he has with his family. And for the person who says we're not going to separate family, well, his family can go with him because he's leaving. He's going to be deported. Look, he's a criminal alien. He's a member of MS-13, which is now a designated terrorist. He's a wife beater. He's a human trafficker. He's been indicted for human trafficking and alien smuggling. He's a bad person. He's not going to be here. He's been order removed twice. Order removed by 2 different federal judges. He's going to leave this country in the very near future, and his family can go with him. I can't see who was talking before the sound bites, but whoever said we're taking advantage of a broken immigration system, what do they do? What do those people do the last 4 years about this broken immigration system?
Then today, the lawyers for Abrego Garcia also filed a lawsuit to block his deportation, and U.S. District Judge Paula Sheeney's set an evidentiary hearing for this Friday. Today, Elon Musk's artificial intelligence startup xAI and its subsidiary X Corporation sued Apple and OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT. The lawsuit accused Apple and OpenAI of monopolistic practices and of being an illegal conspiracy to control AI and smartphone devices. The lawsuit, which was filed in federal court in Texas, includes 10 claims and it seeks billions in damages. In June of 2024, Apple announced a partnership with OpenAI in which the capabilities of ChatGPT were integrated into the ISO platform. The lawsuit claimed that this exclusive arrangement made iPhone users dependent on ChatGPT, and they would be without access to other generative AI chatbots such as xAI's Grok. Based on the lawsuit, AI prompts used by millions of iPhone users solely benefit ChatGPT, making it difficult for competitors to scale and innovate. The lawsuit also claimed that Apple has taken steps to favor OpenAI apps on its App Store, which allegedly has resulted in customers missing out on cheaper and better alternatives. The OpenAI spokesperson responded to the lawsuit saying this latest filing is consistent with Mr. Musk's ongoing pattern of harassment. And in another case, this one filed against Musk's X Corporation, X reached a settlement last week with former employees of Twitter. On Friday, it was reported that Elon Musk's social media company, X Corporation, reached a settlement with thousands of former employees who sued the company over severance payments. Those former employees argued that the company owed them $500 million in severance pay following their dismissal in 2022 when Musk bought the platform. So let's take a quick look at how things got here. When Musk acquired Twitter in 2022, he reduced the workforce from approximately 7,500 employees to fewer than 2,000. In response, a class action lawsuit was filed in 2023, which alleged that Musk owed his former employees around $500 million in severance payments, which were apparently outlined in his agreement to purchase the social media platform. A federal judge dismissed their lawsuit last year, but the former employees appealed to the Ninth Circuit. Then, according to a legal document that was filed in the appeals court last week, both sides asked the court to delay an upcoming hearing to finalize a deal to pay the terminated workers and bring the case to a close. And the appeals court agreed to postpone the hearing. The court is now scheduled to hear oral arguments on September 17th, so they reached a settlement, but the financial terms of the agreement were not disclosed. X also reached a settlement agreement with more than 2,000 former employees who were fighting for severance in arbitration cases. That settlement amount, which has not been made public, would cover almost all of the severance payments for workers that were involved in the case, including interest. Despite these settlements, the legal battle between Musk and the former senior Twitter executives, which is over $128 million in severance payments, continues. Last week, around the same time of the settlements, the Wall Street Journal also reported that Elon Musk was quietly putting the brakes on his plans to start his new political party. And it reported that Musk allegedly told his allies that he wants to focus on his companies. The Wall Street Journal also suggested that Musk worked to maintain his ties with Vice President J.D. Vance. The Wall Street Journal said that Musk reportedly told associates that he was concerned that forming a new political party would damage his relationship with J.D. Vance. In response, without commenting further on the report, Musk said in a post on X that nothing the Wall Street Journal says should be thought of as true. Yesterday, the leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ali Khamenei, turned down direct talks with the United States over its nuclear program, and he said that the current situation was unsolvable. The Islamic Republic suspended negotiations with the United States after the Air Force B-2 Spirit stealth bombers attacked Iran's nuclear site deep underground on June 21st and 22nd. According to the Islamic Republic news agency, Khamenei said in his speech on Sunday that the U.S. wants Iran to be obedient to it. The Iranian nation is deeply offended by such a great insult and will stand with all its strength against those who harbor such a false expectation of the Iranian people. Khamenei also described those who are proposing direct negotiations with Washington as shallow-minded. He said this issue is unsolvable. The new comments came while the Islamic Republic agreed on Friday to resume talks with Britain, France, and Germany on its nuclear enrichment program. Recently, France said that the three countries would be justified in reapplying sanctions if no agreement is reached on a long-term framework for the nuclear program under the Islamic Republic. With a snap-back mechanism, UN sanctions would be reapplied if the Islamic Republic refuses to negotiate. On Friday, Germany announced that the talks would begin tomorrow. Germany also warned the Islamic Republic that the snap-back sanctions would take effect unless the Islamic Republic reached a verifiable and durable deal to ease concerns about its nuclear program. Whether the Fed will cut interest rates in September remains a mystery. However, from the Fed's recent statements, we can see that it's paying increasing attention to cryptocurrency and stable coins. In the minutes of the Federal Reserve's July meeting that was released last week, many participants discussed the recent and future development of stable coins and their potential impact on the financial system. They believe that stable coins may increase demand for U.S. Treasury bonds. Especially after the passage of the Genius Act, the use of stablecoins will increase and they will help significantly improve the efficiency and cost of payment systems. Today, let's find out more about stablecoins. Are stablecoins the future of financial markets? Let's first talk about the features of stablecoins. First, stablecoins are a type of cryptocurrency or digital currency, and they are also built on blockchains such as Stellar. However, the biggest difference between stable coins and other cryptocurrencies is their stability, as suggested by their name. The vast majority of them are pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar. Private companies and banks can issue their own stable coins. So, a stable coin is a digital representation of a dollar. It can be sent across borders on a blockchain within seconds, and it only costs fractions of a penny on the Stellar blockchain. Then the receiver can exchange the stable coin back into an electronic fiat dollar. Currently, the stable coin with the largest market capitalization is USDT issued by Tether. You can exchange one USDT for $1. This USDT can circulate freely in the cryptocurrency world. It can be used for payments, transactions, and investments. So how does Tether ensure that the value of USDT remains stable at $1? Because anyone can exchange one USDT for $1 at Tether at any time with no limits. Therefore, if the market price of USDT exceeded $1, there would definitely be investors who would buy USDT from Tether and sell it on the market. And if the market price of USDT was below $1, there would be someone who buys USDT from the market and trades it to US dollars from Tether. So this way, they can ensure that USDT and the US dollar remain equivalent. Why can Tether guarantee unlimited exchange of USDT for US dollars? Because for every USDT issued, there must be $1 in savings as collateral. This is similar to how the Federal Reserve issued US dollars in the early days, which had to be backed by gold. Currently, there are two main stable coins on the market. One is USDT, that is issued by Tether. USDT accounts for 60% of the total. The other stable coin is USDC, that is issued by Circle, accounting for 24% of the total. Next, let's talk about how stablecoins were created. In short, stablecoins were initially created to only facilitate cryptocurrency transactions. USDT first appeared in 2014. Around 2013, cryptocurrency was in a period of wild growth. Bitcoin prices rose continuously. However, if you wanted to invest in cryptocurrency, you faced many practical problems. For example, it was difficult to buy cryptocurrency directly with US dollars. Traditional banks initially viewed cryptocurrency as a threat. Cross-border transfers are not only time-consuming with fiat currency, but also incur high fees that go to the banks. This is unlike stablecoins being transferred on blockchain with almost no fees, and the cross-border remittances are made within seconds. So, virtual currencies were once viewed as a minefield that traditional banks were reluctant to touch. At the time, Bitcoin was only popular on the dark web. At this point, someone had a brilliant idea. Since we couldn't use the traditional banking system to make payments with cryptocurrency, why not create a shadow US dollar? Therefore, Tether decided to launch USDT in this context. At the end of 2014, Tether quietly launched a new cryptocurrency on Bitfinex called USDT. It was a token that was pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar. Unlike Bitcoin, it does not require mining and it does not rely on traditional banks. Investors simply transfer US dollars to Tether and receive an equal amount of USDT in return. It is essentially a clone of the US dollar in the cryptocurrency world. In terms of function, Tether is equivalent to a bank in the virtual world. Unlike in the real world, though, virtual world banks such as Tether are not regulated, audited, or insured by the FDIC. But this quickly raises a question. Who can guarantee that every USDT issued by Tether is backed by $1? The answer was that no one really knows. In fact, no one even knows whether Tether actually has any US dollars. Tether's operational headquarters is in Hong Kong, but is registered in the Virgin Islands. Its parent company is iFinex Incorporated. iFinex is also the parent company of Bitfinex. Tether operates on the edge of regulation. It is not subject to U.S. regulation, yet it connects with the banking system in various ways. Initially, no one paid too much attention to USDT as it was merely a tool for Bitfinex customers to bypass U.S. dollar remittances. Moreover, its scale was relatively small. In 2014, the price of Bitcoin was between $750 and $1,000. But by 2017, things had changed. Bitcoin's price had broken through to $20,000 mark for the first time. As a result, billions of dollars were flowing in and out of the market every day via USDT. More and more exchanges are beginning to notice that USDT can bypass banks and regulations and operate globally 24 hours a day. As a result, exchanges such as Binance have begun to introduce USDT as an equivalent to the US dollar. So who can guarantee that Tether can really exchange 1-to-1 for US dollars? If Bitfinex runs into problems, will USDT crash? These are indeed issues that need to be considered. Some have noticed that in 2017, the timing of Tether's large-scale releases often coincided with rapid increases in the price of Bitcoin. Logically, this makes sense. When the price of Bitcoin rises, investors need more USDT to trade. However, the market also suspects that Tether may be manipulating the market and inflating the price of Bitcoin. Tether claimed at the time that its reserve accounts were held at Noble Bank in Puerto Rico. However, a year later, the bank shut down. The reason for the closure is unknown, so what about USDT? Users have doubts, but they are unwilling to give up using it. All the exchange platforms still accept USDT. If you don't use USDT, what else can you use for trading? USDT is a lifesaver for virtual currency trading, especially in Southeast Asia and Latin America, where banking services are scarce. So Tether's market value has skyrocketed from several million to several billion. After the surge in Bitcoin prices, Tether faced a crisis. In 2016, Bitfinex, which shares the same parent company as Tether, suffered one of the largest hacking attacks in history, losing 120,000 Bitcoins and incurring losses of over $70 million. So, can Tether bear the consequences independently? At that time, no one knew where Tether's money came from. So rumors that Tether was issuing stable coins out of thin air came to spread again. Tether made a decisive decision. If a customer's Bitcoin was stolen by hackers, Tether would compensate the customer with the corresponding BFX token. At some point in the future, the company would redeem the BFX token. Tether did not keep its customers waiting too long, and it fulfilled its promise a few months later. Users also partially recovered their funds. The first crisis was successfully overcome. Soon, Tether faced an even greater crisis of confidence. In 2017, the Chinese government issued new regulation prohibiting cryptocurrency exchanges from operating within China. This forced platforms such as Binance to switch to offshore models. RMB trading was replaced by stablecoin exchanges. USDT seized this opportunity and rapidly expanded on the Tron chain. This was because transactions on the Tron chain incurred almost zero fees. In 2018 and 2019, the Tron chain became the largest chain for USDT issuance, far surpassing Bitcoin's Omni protocol and Ethereum. But the low cost and high speed of Tron's transactions attracted a large number of Asian traders, especially in gray areas such as online gambling, wire fraud, and illegal foreign exchange trading. In a 2024 report, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime pointed out that many illegally operated online gambling platforms have come to regard USDT as the preferred tool for money laundering and cross-border fund transfers. This is because USDT transactions are fast, low cost, and most importantly, anonymous. Tron's gray label has also caused a crisis of confidence in USDT. More users are asking, does Tether really have these dollars? Can it really guarantee a one-to-one exchange rate? The answer remains nobody knows when it comes to Tether. At this point, only USDC has appeared. So how is it different from USDT? We will continue tomorrow. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember to leave a comment below the video. And this is really helping us to be seen all around the world. The more people who watch Front Page, the more freedom-loving people the world will have. And please hit the like button and hit the notification bell after subscribing. And please share this video with your friends and family because everybody deserves to know the truth.